Hi, chaps and chapettes. This is Stacey McLennan at Unity Peace Patrol News, and we have the Human Library, or the Word Tumbler, as you've been called on, through a review of Michael. You've been called the Word Tumbler.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's on the website now as well, so you're actually known as, I believe. I'm just going to have a look at the website. Do you know what? Like, after working on it, I've just never actually looked at it, to be honest. You're actually called, as I put on the website, someone said, oh yeah, you're the Oracle of the Law, you've been called all sorts.
Anything rude?
No, not yet, Michael. It's been more me. I've been called dangerous, I've been called mental. Well, they've got one part right. That's what.
Yes, no prizes for guessing who's been saying that.
Yeah. Well, I'm flattered, really. Yeah, you've been called host, Word Tumbler, and Human Library. And myself, I've been known to be host reset. I'm a general thorn in the side of my local police force. So anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Police Corruption Special of Unity Peace Patrol News. We'll dive straight into the first article that we have. It has been a little while since we've done Unity Peace, so we've been busy doing our own little bits and bobs. So we'll jump straight into the first article that we have is Tom Crawford's arrest, ladies and gents. I mean, epically wrong, if I'm quite honest. The guy was just trying to fight for his house back. And the way that, I mean, you can even see if I pull up the gallery. Can you see that at all, Michael?
Yeah. When I was watching this on video, I did notice that one or two of the officers were pushing him around. They had no legitimate reason to do so. And I mean, he'd done nothing wrong. They just grabbed hold of him and just decided to guide him. They said, "Oh, we were guiding him towards the van." Yeah, for what reason? None.
Yeah, that don't look like guiding to me, Michael.
No, it doesn't. I think this had already been pre-planned, and I wouldn't mind betting that it was those who were involved, not on the police side. This is a stitch-up of Tom Crawford and also Andy Pierce. I mean, Tom, I mean, why are they doing it? Are they trying to discredit him so much? Are they that frightened of an elderly guy who's recovering from cancer? I mean, it is pathetic. I mean, we know that Walker Morris is involved in this, and we also know that the UK Asset Resolution. I've heard them being called UK Asset Stripping. That firm of that removal specialist. Now, I did find something that they're supposed to take anybody's possessions to a storage facility within a 15-mile radius of wherever the property's been repossessed. No, this went to a place at Burnley, which is more than 15 miles. And I think when a chap called Mark Gellard, who runs Trial by Social Media, challenges this guy who instantly appeared on Come Dine with Me, dressed up in his Masonic regalia, and admitted he was the most obnoxious person that ever walked the face of the earth. Well, I think after the film that Mark took over me, I think he proved that overwhelmingly he is the most obnoxious person who walked the face of the earth, if he did admit it himself. I mean, he knew damn well he had no right to do that. He knew damn well that what the law says, and he should have obeyed it. Now, it's no good him using Masonic connections to sort of protect himself. It won't work, because they say what goes around comes around. Yeah, you do something like that, it's going to come back and bite you on the backside. I mean, I've seen it happen. It may take a while for it to happen, but the sure as eggs are eggs, it will come back and bite you on the bum. And when it does bite you on the bum, it could draw blood. And when I say draw blood, I don't mean literally. I mean, it could draw blood in the way you could end up being bankrupted through damages. You could end up in jail. It could mean anything. Your marriage could break it. Fate can sometimes have some very, very strange ways of working. I mean, you look at somebody who thought they had a stable marriage, they've gone and really done something really bad to someone else, and then they find out their other half has been having a steamy affair with their best mate. That's the way that fate can sometimes work, and it can work in quite a nasty way. If you've been really nasty, it'll come back in. It'll come back on you, just as bad. So I don't think these people involved in the that incident with Tom Crawford are going to get away with it. I mean, even if they don't get sacked or prosecuted, it's going to come back on them in some way.
I mean, the way they treated him as well, Michael. Like, I mean, he's 64 years old. I'm not trying to discriminate against him at all. Do you know what I mean? But he is an older man. Do you know what I mean? And it's like he wasn't even resisting. He was just walking with them, and they grabbed him. And I seen the video, and he just, because there was more of them piling on him. He just went, no, go away, get off me. What are you doing? I'm a haemophiliac. Go away, get off me. And now he's, according to this article, Michael, he's up in court on the 31st of this month. So it's not very far away, guys. He has been charged with assaulting a police officer and an execution of his duty. I don't see him doing his duty when they blocked off the house in Operation Hopper. And if anyone spells the last 4 words backwards, 4 letters backwards of Hopper, it's actually repo.
Very, very telling that. The other thing, there has been a number of cases that have gone for the appeal courts with regard to assault on police. Now, the police officer has to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they were in the execution of their lawful duty. Now, this Operation Hopper, I've got a feeling that police officers were not acting in the lawful execution of their duty. In fact, I will hazard a guess. They were acting under the instructions of a corporation, which means basically that they were acting in a private capacity. Now, even though they were wearing police uniforms, it does mean that, I mean, it's academic. That's impersonating police officers, even if they do hold a white card.
I'll be losing that soon.
You cannot be acting in the lawful execution and discharge of your duty if you're doing it for a private company. It's got to be on normal duty. That's not normal duty.
No.
I mean, I'm not going to prejudge the situation, but they were doing, I mean, the Greater Manchester Police Tactical Aid Unit, or as they became known, Thugs R Us, because of the letters, they were trying to do this. They were saying, oh, you're obstructing the public highway, oh, you're doing this, oh, you're doing that. After about the first 2 or 3 cases being dismissed, the magistrate just got fed up with it. Whenever they brought them in as a right case dismissed, they didn't even give them a chance to read up the charges. They just knew it. They were false, they were fraudulent, and they were also vexatious. And it got to the point where it was ruled, sorry, that pathway is not a public highway, it's a public footpath. Therefore, you go arresting anyone for obstruction of the highway, you will be acting. It'll be an unlawful arrest, and you will face the consequences.
Yeah, see, the one legislation that they do, well, I say the one, it's one of the main ones that they actually use, which is Section 5 of the Public Order Act. I am going to pull that up because everybody should get to know this, to be honest, because they tried to say to me when I was handing out copies of Section 26 to the general public that I was causing harassment, alarm and distress. Now, that's not the case. And I said, oh, Section 5, and the sergeant absolutely wet his pants. Because I went, oh, I'm not causing harassment, alarm and distress. I'm being quite reasonable, aren't I? And obviously we had to put a stop to handing it out to police officers. So we still handed it out to the general public. They came up to us again and said, what are you doing? And one of the officers, hang on a second. I'm just gonna mute my mic, Michael, because we've got a witness to what actually happened, and he's just in the next room. Hang on, I'll just yell out. I'm just gonna mute my mic if you could go over that Section 5. What actually entails and means.
Yes, well, if you could put it up on the screen, then I can go through it.
Oh yeah, that would be helpful. It's a red. There we go. Hang on, I'm just going to mute my mic and
there we go.
Go back in.
Okay, now it says here harassment, alarm, or distress. The police have got a very funny way of defining harassment, alarm, or distress. Now, unless there is a statutory definition of what is meant by harassment, alarm, or distress, the courts go by the dictionary definition. I think one they use is the Oxford Dictionary. Now, alarm or distress. Alarm means it's put someone in fear of being subjected to violence or danger, and distress is a heightened level of fear of danger. So, in order to prove that someone has caused alarm or distress, there has got to be some form of danger to that person, and I don't mean danger just simply because they've opened their mouth and said something. It's got to be physical danger. Harassment, if you look at the definition of the dictionary, it just simply means nuisance. I mean, I've seen some pathetic examples of this being abused. Just because somebody is riding up and down a particular road with a motorbike that had a slightly noisy exhaust. Oh, you're causing alarm, distress, and harassment. I kind of turned around to the PCS and said, how can they be causing alarm, distress, and harassment with a slightly noisy exhaust? I said, that's a motor vehicle construction and use regulations matter. Oh, yeah, but it's causing people alarm. I said, I'll come off it. I said, you're clutching at straws. Get back in your car and go away. Oh, well, you're obstructing me. I said, I'm not. So I said, because you're making a fool of yourself. You're making a fool of the police service. And I said, you're coming very near to acting unlawfully. I said, now get back in your car and go. I said, and any more back chat from you, I said, I'll be straight on the phone to your chief superintendent first thing tomorrow morning. This was in the evening. I said, I'll be on the phone to your chief superintendent in the morning. Yeah, they got back in their car and departed. But the police abuse it. Now there was a change. There has been a change. There has been a change in the law, and they've had to remove the word insulting because that is what was being abused more than anything else. Police officers were trying to say, "Oh, you swear at me, that's sexual," but it's not.
So if I were to say, "Oi, trotter," then they would have been arrested for.
They can't. They can't because the word insulting has been removed. There was a test case that was put before the courts, and the court ruled that the word insulting has had to be. I think the College of Policing have said that the word insulting should not. It has been removed from the definition, and because police officers were misusing it so much. Now there was a case in 2011. I think it was Harvey versus the Director of Public Prosecutions. Now, some of you may have cause to titter about this. The judge who heard it at the High Court was Mr. Justice Bean. Yes, that was right, Mr. Justice Bean. And don't get visions of Rowan Atkinson in a wig and a gown passing judgment on somebody. It wasn't.
It's too late for me, Michael.
I know, you completely lost it. But Mr. Justice Bean, he's one of the senior judges at the High Court, hence the Mr. Justice tag on his phone. And he said, although the F word has not lost its sort of potency, he said a police officer obviously gets a lot thrown at them, and obviously, I think what he was saying in as few words as possible is police officers should grow some backbone or get out of the job. And I have to agree with him. But it's been abused, quite rightly. The College of Policing and the courts have said, right, the word insulting, because this is how the police were catching people. I had this happen to me indirectly just before. Oh, we've got our special guest. I had this happen to me just before Christmas. I'd gone to a Christmas do, and when we came outside, somebody decided to smack somebody in the face. And not surprisingly, the person who'd been smacked in the face was effing and blinding basically through trauma. And this WPC said, I'm a member of the public. He's a member of the public. To me, I said, no, you're not a member of the public. I said, you're a police officer. I said, and I'm ex-job. I said, and I've had worse than that at Millwall football ground, which kind of gave her a bit of a deflated look. But that's how they abuse it, and it's not necessary. Absolutely not necessary at all.
Well, they tend. I find when they use Section 5 with me, Michael, they just. I ask them straight, like, well, how? Like, and they can't answer me at all. Not one police officer has been able to answer me straight. I'm like, well, get back in your little pork machine and bugger off. And they go, well, you're calling me a pig. I'm like, no, I'm referring to your car being a certain type of animal farmyard animal. Now go away. They don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, oops, I think George has just kind of put himself on screen. I think he needs to switch off the camera. Yep.
Hi, George. I don't know. Are you able to? I mean, if you don't want to be on camera, then you're more than welcome to just turn the camera bit off at the top.
I'll leave the camera on. I like the police to see me.
Oh, good.
That shows definite no fear. I mean, I've got no fear either, but you know, I think I tend to keep some kind of anonymity because speaking of anonymity, I've had an anonymous tip-off from someone within my local police force, you know, saying that they're following my car, and well, it's in car heaven at the moment, but they were following my car, and I've got to watch what I say on here.
Well, I've got to watch what I say. I'm in court tomorrow, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, what's actually cracking? I know there's some things that you can't say right now, obviously, until after it's all sorted.
Well, I can because it's not subject to legal process until tomorrow. So I'm taking a police inspector to court, and I hope that the judge gives me permission to do that.
Yeah, it's private prosecutions, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, because I'm considering doing that, but obviously I've got to find the right channel to do that myself. Because I've always said like, oh, I can take it, and I can take a private prosecution out, and they say, oh, well, good luck with that. Like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. See ya.
Well, I have won one before, so it's not that difficult, and it gives you a fair chance. Take a shot at it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it sounds like, George. I mean, I'm ex-police. When I was in London in the late 1970s, the police used to prepare all the case files themselves. This is before the CPS came into being.
Well, the CPS do come in, but the police do not look at my files. And as a journalist on the National, on the Sunday Mirror, I turned people like you over, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so I've seen corrupt police officers get their comeuppance, or someone get their comeuppance in front of a Crown Court judge at Plymouth Crown Court once. Once someone
was silly enough to sell me drugs outside the English Gentleman in Lisson Grove, Euston. I'm quite happy for the police, you know, the way they behave, and if you used to be like them, they're a law unto themselves. They're drug dealers, I know, because I bought drugs from them. I bought ammunition and firearms from the most secure police station, Paddington Green.
Good grief.
Yes, good grief.
Good grief. And that's supposed to be the most
I got
was.
Well, you had a cleaner who worked for Initial Towel Services, I think it was. He gave me the addresses to all your safe houses, and he ended up getting arrested.
God, I thought I was a thorn in the side of my local police force.
Unfortunately,
I had another one, Marleybone as well, who was running his second-hand car business from the police station. We got a picture of him driving his Rolls Royce. He was suspended immediately.
what the heck?
Oh,
Oh, God, I mean, they say that fact is often stranger than fiction. My God,
Oh,
I mean, we had a bad one at the station I was at in Victoria, but nowhere
Oh,
near
you
as bad
live
as
in
that.
Millbank. I lived in Millbank for quite some time. What police station were you at?
Rochester Row.
Oh, I've been there as well. Rochester Row. You saw drinking little pubs on the side streets there, along with MI5, MI6, all up that way.
I think the nearest one to the neck was the Greencoat Boys.
I didn't hit that one much, but I'm sure there was plenty of good. There was all around there, as you know, because there was a terrible drink problem within the police.
Yeah, yes, I can remember one of my colleagues when I switched forces. He had a very bad drink problem, and yeah, the detective superintendent came in one day and found him absolutely legless. So he was kind of put on sick leave to try and sort
Well,
it out.
I mean, they also they've got a very high divorce rate. In fact, one officer just had me convicted as getting divorced. I'm over the moon, delighted with it.
Good grief.
yeah, it's absolutely shot. I sit here and I think, like, of all these forces just going out there. I mean, we know that Greater Manchester, that's a big corrupt police forces, but they're all clubbing together now. This is what I don't understand. It's like, why? So you can
There's a lot of leaving now, especially chief constables. My chief constable, Colette Paul, she's just announced her early retirement. I offered to send her a ticket to go immediately.
Good grief! What did she do to make you want to give her a ticket to leave immediately, George?
Well, I complained about her. She lied in an email when she said she was under investigation when she wasn't. So I contacted PSD. They confirmed they were not investigating her. I then contacted Ollie Martin, our PCC, who investigated it. He saw my emails where she said she was under investigation when she wasn't. I said she had lied. And he decided she had not. She merely made a mistake. But she's gone now, and good riddance to her.
Yeah, Adrian Lee. Have you ever heard of Adrian Lee? You're not far from me. I'm in Northamptonshire. Got Adrian Lee. Well, we had Adrian Lee.
Well, I'm does ring a bell, but I don't know anything about him. I do know with Colette that because of the death in custody, Liam Briggs, then you had Ali Farouk, the person that was, things like that. Look, it goes to show that she was under such pressure. She came from a high-pressure job. She went in there knowing what the job was. After 2 years, she announces she wants to spend more time with her family. Didn't she want to know her family 2 years?
Yeah, I've heard that used as an excuse on a number of occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think. Do you know what? Like, we know they're humans underneath the uniform, but it's actually getting to the human core. You know what I mean? And saying, like, asking them, what are you doing? Why are you doing this kind of job? You need to get out of it and sort it out, really. But they just don't seem to understand what you're talking about.
It's not just the police officers that do wrong. It's also, they are good officers, but apparently they just turn a blind eye to what their colleagues do. And that makes them, in my eyes, as bad as the one that's doing wrong.
I'd agree with you on that because, I mean, if they're just turning a blind eye and letting it happen, yeah, they're just letting it perpetrate and go on and on and on. So, yes, they'd be classed as an accessory.
They would see
They
that.
are, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, it is. I mean, turning a blind eye makes you an accessory.
It is. I've got this legislation up the Section 26 of the Criminal Justice and Courts Act. I'm sure you probably are familiar with that yourself, George. I've been using it up and down the Northamptonshire area, and we've had the police officers absolutely wetting their pants, to be honest.
Had a few actually say they're not interested in it as well.
Yeah, they said they're not interested in legislation either, even though they're meant to be upholding the law anyway.
Until that's tried and tested in the courts, the police won't take it seriously enough. But eventually, someone will take them to court using that legislation. and then they will take it serious.
Yeah.
This is what we've got here. I've advised a lot of people to keep that on them in their glove box of their cars, on their person as well, because well, what happened was I got pulled over a few months ago. Well, just after it came out, and I said, "Am I being detained?" They said, "No, we just want to talk to you. Section 165 of the Road Traffic Act." But before you do you fancy reading this? And they went away and read it, and they jetted off in their car so fast and left me. Just left me sitting there thinking, huh?
That's what you should do if you carry these things with you, because a lot of the police are not lawyers. In fact, it's illegal to advise someone unless you do have a degree in law. So the police are real. They tell you themselves they're not lawyers, even though more and more police are taking law degrees because they think it will help with their promotion.
It's this NLP common purpose training as well. They tend to twist things what you're saying. So like if you're saying something really just normal, they tend to twist it and make it into what they want it to be. I've been known to lie.
That's what the police do, and then the courts will only look at the law, and it's how the law is interpreted. It's not as it's actually written in stone.
Yeah, so this is the thing. They try and mess around on the. They try and mess about here in Northamptonshire, but as soon as I start, I mean, I've had police harassment for the past 3 years. Police knocking at my door, ringing my house at 11:30 at night. I've got a lad here that stops with us, and he witnessed an inspector admitting that the Northamptonshire police are corrupt. He said, if we're that corrupt.
Every police force, I've got no doubt, has got corrupt officers in it. I don't think there's a single police constabulary where you could say, we are completely clean, we've got nothing to hide, and we don't do anything wrong.
I believe that as well. I don't think it's just like in my local area. I believe it's everywhere, and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
And what is it I've been called? Myself, I've been called dangerous.
Well, the only way I find it is if you do take out a private prosecution where you're going to get your chance to do it. And like I'm doing, I'm calling a few people as witnesses. One of them I think is on here tonight, Chrissy Morris. I know that we stand a good chance, or three of us involved in my particular case, and we stand a very good chance because the case is stronger if there's more of you. And anyone can bring a private prosecution as long as it is a criminal offence you're alleging. You don't even have to be involved in it.
It's shocking, isn't it? It's like, well, Christy, we couldn't get hold of him, George, but there's a lot of stuff going on within the police. It's just, it drives me mad. Drives me absolutely insane.
I mean, only this week I do know Chris has been threatened with harassment by Essex PCC. They've got no right doing that to him because the PCC are not even police officers. Why they're threatening to have anyone charged, I do not know. And maybe it's just as well he's not on this show, because Chris speaks so much, we would run out of airtime. When he phones me, I have half a dozen batteries on standby for it.
I came across a case recently where the police turned around to somebody and said, "Oh, we don't have to prove intent anymore." And I'm thinking, which planet are you living on?
Exactly.
You always have to prove the intent. That would, for most charges, where intent charge. You can't say someone's being charged with GBH to prove the intent.
Yeah, it's true.
No, sorry, guys. I'm just pulling up this wee list that I have because it's got a lot of Essex police on it. It's just loading at the minute. about. It's got a lot of It's got a lot of information. It's got a lot of information into the regard of Essex Police. It's got Northamptonshire Police, all this kind of stuff. But
is that the V28, Stacey? Because I've got it here.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a glitch with it. I think GCHQ are hacking into my laptop again.
Okay, you just tell me how to load it up, and I'll. Oh, sugar.
I just went into the Skype chat that we were on. Here's another thing, George, that you might find interesting. My laptop decided to frazzle, in other words, and what happened was I had to reset my PC, and they said, "Oh no, you won't lose any of your files." Clicked onto it. All the certain files are gone.
That doesn't surprise me at all. They've done that with my phones before now. They've taken away. In fact, they put files on my phone, which I don't know what they mean, but I analysed my own phone when I got it back from the police, and there was hundreds of photographs of shop signs. Now, why anyone would take a photograph of a shop sign, I do not know. And I know I never took those photos.
I don't know why they want call recordings from certain utility companies and call recordings to certain councils as well, and certain police forces as well. Absolutely.
I know that they do some very strange things. Even though this week I did get 3 complaints upheld against Essex Police, and I'm going for more. I think they're the second largest complaints. I think outside the Met, they have more complaints than any other force.
Both very well.
It's absolutely shocking. Have you managed to get the list up?
No, unfortunately, I'm having problems trying to load it up, Stacey. I'll see if I can load it up another way, but no, I'm having.
Hang on a sec. Oh, I've got it. I
agree.
Hang on a minute. Let me just let's close this bit. Yeah.
Greater Manchester Police can be quite interesting with some of the things they come out with. Some of them you think, are they on something?
Exactly. I'm just going to try and zoom in and. Right, here we go. I've got it. There is a list of 1,345 police officers that have been since about 2013. This has happened. We've got a PC of Aberdeenshire charged with rape. We've got theft, fraud, voyeurism, if you like that kind of thing. Manslaughter. There was a sergeant in Cambridgeshire Police, which is not far from myself, with rape and child sex attacks. He's jailed for 14.5 years. This is going a bit further back. There's Merseyside. It keeps going on and on and on. There's fraud, outrage and public decency. That was PC Ken Dwyer of Greater Manchester Police. Surprise, surprise. Northumberland Police. There was someone that was sacked. Is that CI? It's Chief Inspector, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking. 20 weeks with somebody in the West Midlands. It goes on and on, and it's like this list is about, well, according to this.
I did see one there, Stacey, with an inspector who's been done for witness intimidation.
Witness intimidation?
Yeah, it was witness intimidation on one. Now, that's quite serious.
Where was that?
Humberside Police. Inspector Andrews from Merseyside Police. Humberside Police.
Humberside, right. And Avon and Somerset have got quite a few, Michael. That's not far from yourself, is it?
Well, they're kind of the next, one of the next forces on. Where my local force is Devon in Cornwall, but even though Somerset is sort of in the northern part, and then Dorset is on kind of the southern borders of Devon. So yes, they're sort of one of the neighbouring forces.
Well, there's one here, 26th of September 2013, Gareth Grick, Norfolk Police, due to be charged with child sex offences, committed suicide. And it just goes absolutely on and on and on. But I believe in somewhere on this, there was someone...
There was one there. It says North Devon Police. That's actually done in Cornwall. Somebody there jailed for 25 years. Well, what that was, I don't know.
I'll have a quick look. I don't know what that was. I think
yeah,
GCA...
it said North Devon Police, which would indicate them in Cornwall. Because Devon and Cornwall was formed back in the 1970s with an amalgamation of about 4 different forces.
Harassment. We've got coppers for harassment. We've got 8 weeks suspended sentence for drink driving. Someone drove a police car.
There's one there. I saw one there for 19 years for rape.
Yeah, this was Wayne Richardson Scott of Cleveland Police, 9 counts of rape.
There it is. I've just noticed it, Stacey. May 2013, Danny Bryant, North Devon Police, which is Devon and Cornwall, indecent assault against boys, jail for 25 years. He must have done something very, very serious. That is serious.
That is
that sort of sentence.
Stealing drugs and reselling them, DC Detective Constable, I take it that is, Michael.
Yeah, it is.
Nicholas McFadden of West Yorkshire Police, stealing drugs and reselling them.
23 years inside.
They've kept this guy anonymous, a police officer at Metropolitan Police, selling information to News of the World.
After 2 years.
That was probably kept quiet because there's a few cases going on at the Bailey at the moment, isn't there, concerning payments to police, so that's probably why his name's up.
That's probably why. Yeah, I can understand that.
Well, here's one that is my local. This made me laugh. It made me laugh because this guy is an absolute idiot. I mean, I really couldn't stand him, even when I was younger. 30th of December 2012, Inspector Jason Johnson in Northamptonshire posted picture of genitals on Facebook. He got sacked. PC Russell Toohey, Bedfordshire Police, kissed a 15-year-old. He got 18 months suspended sentence. Should have got a jail term if I'm honest.
There's another one there. Ivan Isak, Kent Police, murdered his wife, jail for 28 years.
It's shocking. It's just like this information. People should be reading this stuff up, I reckon. Going, right, well, what are you doing about it? This is in the public interest, isn't it?
I think the list that would shock people more is the names of all those that have died in police custody.
Yes, absolutely. I bet it's much more than what's on here. Well, we don't.
All these deaths in custody probably makes it one of the most unsafe places in the world to work. I mean, it's very funny. It's only prisoners. You don't get many police officers that die in police custody. You don't get the desk sergeant dropping dead on you when you walk in.
I mean, it is. I mean, I've been asked what is the chip? What chip have I got on my shoulder? Why am I so hell bent on annoying the police? I've been called annoying and I've been called an idiot. So many different things. What is it that I've got a bit of a surprise for my local police force, Michael and George. In the next few months, we've heard of our friend PC Trotter.
Oh, yeah, I know you mean. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I have some nice pictures of Trotter. and he might be sitting on my bumper of my car, just to annoy the people a little bit more.
I think he did that outside of Greater Manchester Police Headquarters. He was chasing somebody around, dressed in costume, just chasing somebody, just kind of taking the mickey out of the police. He's very good at doing that, actually. There was one sergeant, young sergeant from Greater Manchester. He arrested him for impersonating a police officer. Well, how can you do that when you're only with a pig mask and a toy police helmet on your head? I mean, really. I mean, what his custody sergeant must have said when he took him in the custody suite. I hate to think. I've got a pretty good idea, but it's not repeatable on there.
Oh, stop being an absolute tit. Was probably one.
I would think that's about the most repeatable. There's probably something a lot stronger than that.
Yeah. See, when I go go out for a drive with my husband with me and stuff like that, they haven't since I've bought a new car, but they used to follow my little Vauxhall Corsa, and I've actually been told by someone within the force, I won't mention his name or his rank or anything like that, that I need to watch where I'm going, and I need to watch what's behind me, basically.
Yeah,
They don't like it that we're exposing. They don't like it that people are exposing them.
Well, they don't like it because years ago they got away with it. There was no internet. Now, so many groups they're watching the police know it, and they're being filmed. Everything they do is filmed as well. So if they can obviously get hold of what you're doing, they know in advance. It's like, I don't doubt they're listening to this, because maybe I'll let slip what I'm going to be doing tomorrow morning. All I'm saying is I'm going to court, and I'm taking an inspector with me. And after the inspector, I'm taking a PC and a sergeant from Chelmsford Police Station. They're coming to court as well. I won't give up until the day I die. They know it, and I know it.
I think that's the same with me, George. They don't seem to get it through their heads. That when I start quoting the law to them, they go, "We're not interested in legislation." I'm like, "Oh, well, you will be when you find yourself behind bars."
But that's the way to do it, is to use all this about, you hear so much about common law, I don't consent, I do consent. I use exactly the same acts as they use. It's the only way, I think, to beat them. You start telling them about the Magna Carta, they'll tell you themselves things have moved on from those days. You know, I use exactly what they would use against me, I use against them, and I will never stop it.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do, George. I find it's the most effective way of doing it. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. It does work, because they wonder how you know.
Well, yeah, but like I say, when people start this, I don't consent. Well, I'm sure that every prisoner in prison today that didn't consent to go there. What do we do? Let them all go because they didn't consent? You know, it becomes a ridiculous argument.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I hear that on YouTube, I'm kind of thinking, oh, God, here we go.
Well, I did hear someone in an interview with police only recently, and they went down that road, and they said that they were charging £500,000 an hour for the police interview. Then after a bit of time, he said, is this going to take much longer? I said, what are you worried about? You're getting £500,000 an hour.
Yeah, they do. It makes them the butt of jokes. I mean, if they only realise how silly they sound.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, you know, sometimes people are saying, oh, legislation's treason and all that, and I'm like, yeah, that's like, I tend to go, right, okay, fine. I don't tend to. I try and go with the legislation that's in front of me and go, right, how am I going to throw this and where can I throw them?
Yeah, I think, Tracy, if you can remember, there was a solicitor came in on one of the previous broadcasts, and he was saying the only way you'll really sort of put the police in their place is to turn the legislation on them. the ones that the legislation they're trying to use against you, turn it on them. He said it seems to be the most effective way of sort of stopping them.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to the legislation, and I think when it comes to the legislation, especially Section 26 of the Criminal Justice and Courts Act, they tend to leave me alone. They tend to get backed off and left me alone. Maybe they're planning the next move.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had to use it yet where I am. But then again, I know most of the local coppers just because I used to be a copper here locally, but not with the county force. I was on with another force. So, but obviously I know them through having served with their senior officers. I mean, most of the guys who were kind of a constable at the same time as me, they're now superintendents or chief superintendents. They've come up through the ranks. Some of them have stayed okay, some of them haven't.
If I was to take you to court, could you still get a representation by the Police Federation or not?
No, because after you leave the job, your representation ceases. But I mean, when I was pensioned out on health grounds because of a knee injury, because I kept up my subscriptions to the federation for a while, they were able to give me representation to get compensation for the knee injury.
I see. So
That's the police federations actually do their best for their members, but obviously
they're a union. But the reason I asked is I'm wondering if the officer I'm bringing to court would use the police federation, being she's retired. Also, what I'd like to ask you is that if an officer retires but still has outstanding court cases, how does that work? Are they allowed to turn up in court in uniform, or how does that work?
Well, if some resign, it depends. In some cases, they just kind of drop the case. Where it's been something quite serious, they won't let them resign, and they shouldn't let them resign. In my opinion.
I know that the inspector that retired over me has got outstanding court cases. In fact, one comes up in August, and I'm wondering as she's the investigating officer, how is she going to be giving evidence in that case?
Interesting one. Because once you on your last day, you hand in everything: uniform, warrant card, pocketbook. They get handed back.
You keep your helmets, don't you? Because I know 2 officers that have got them still.
I don't know if they've done that because I had to have mine in.
I know 2. They've got them in cabinets. Now,
right. They must have asked to do that, or they must have bought them.
Maybe they stole them.
More than likely.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm getting.
I had it on permanent loan.
So there's a court case. There's a court case coming up in August then, where the person's being accused of harassment. The arresting officer and the investigating officer has retired. So that means if she goes into court, she can't go to court as a police constable, can she?
No. Was she due to retire anyway?
No, she had too many complaints against her, and that's why I'm going to court, take her to court on Monday.
Dear.
So I know why she left. That way she kept her pension intact, and as you lot know, you call it the get out of jail free card. But in this case, I'm taking her to court, and the judge would have no problem if I get the go ahead. It has to go to a Crown Court, and even on a first offence, stuck in public office, that sends you to prison, as you know, and that's where I'm hoping to put her.
Yeah. Thing is, I mean, if she resigned because of a series of complaints, I'm wondering if that would have marred her reliability as a witness, especially if it was anything to do with misconduct.
Well, what they did, she retired in April, hoping everything would go away, and the chief constable has told me himself. He said, "We can't discipline her because she no longer works for our organisation." So that's fair enough, actually. She's done me a favour, I can take her to court myself. But like I say, the outstanding court cases, she's going to have great difficulty if she turns up. I don't think she'll turn up. I think she'll go sick. But if she does turn up, I'm just wondering how that will work. How will she be investigated officer if she's not a police officer?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, has there already been a preliminary hearing in that case or not?
You've had case management and everything. It's a 3-day trial in August.
And she was at those hearings?
Yes, and then she retired.
Ah, right. Then I would suspect, George, that she would be called back.
And sure, she won't be allowed to wear a uniform, will she?
I doubt it very much. She'd be in civvies.
Yeah, because otherwise I would have to have her arrested if I saw someone in a police uniform that wasn't a police officer.
Yeah, because she'll no longer have her warrant card.
And I mean, and then obviously I would, because it's not involved. I'm only a witness in the case, but I'd let her go into my background. I'd deliberately do that so I could go into hers. And I don't think I think the case would be if there's not no evidence to throw it out. It's not that serious. But, yeah. Wondering on what the position was. It seems very strange that I would have thought that if you were retiring, you had that planned, and therefore any court cases you've got outstanding, you would clear up before you left.
That's what they're supposed to do, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, they try and what they try and do is a slash, like try and slash everything, hoping it will go away.
I think it was something relatively minor. I think they probably dropped it. If it was a minor offence and they were due to retire, they probably, well, what they should do is drop the case altogether, unless the CPS direct otherwise. But in a way, the CPS were a good thing, but in a way, they're not such a good thing. They were supposed to kind of clean things up, but no, I don't think they have. Because I mean, I know when they first came in. I mean, I was in the job before they came in and after they came in, and we were calling them the Clown Prosecution Service.
That's what we call them. We call them that as well.
Yeah, that's what we were calling them, George.
Yeah.
CID then. And I can remember my DI saying, "Oh my God," he said, "the bloody Clown Prosecution Service." He said, "They haven't got a bloody clue." A lot of them were just out of law school, and they didn't know what they were doing half the time.
I know the police have a lot of problems with them as well, even when they think they've got a good case. And I've heard them argue on the phone with the CPS, saying they killed someone, and you're saying to release them, and then the CPS have changed their decision. So I do know the police have problems with the CPS. Yes, it would be up to the desk sergeant again to send you to court, and he used to send everyone to court.
Yeah, that's what was happening when I was in the Met. They take him, and the station officer or desk sergeant, whatever you want to call them, they charge them, and then they go to court usually the next day.
I mean, in the late 1970s, I was arrested by the flying squad. They were attached to Limehouse police station at the time, and they were they was worse than Sweeney. They were incredible. They were incompetent thieves because what we stole, they stole all off of us.
Oh, great.
And we specialised in doing post offices. Now, we didn't go in there with a gun. We went in there with a knife when the place was closed. We didn't frighten anybody. It's just that I had a big stack of postal orders when they caught me. And they decided that half of those went missing, disappeared.
Yes, I've heard of things like that happening.
Yeah, they are.
It was in the good old days.
Yeah, evidence would suddenly go walkie. Where's that evidence? From the evidence, what evidence?
Yeah.
Well,
I've seen that happen a few times.
But when we did it, I think that was for the News of the World. There was a big drug raid in a club, and we managed to buy the drugs seized by police, off a police officer in Edgware Road. That was made front page. Now, the police, like I say, today I know the evidence is dealt with differently. It's even at the roadside, it's put in an evidence bag which is numbered and sealed. Years ago, it was just put in a bag with a tag around it.
Right. Yeah. It closes the bag, and yeah, I can remember those.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Those seals, they just could. Even if a prisoner said, "I want my cigarettes," they'd cut the seal, leave your cigarettes down, and just put a new seal on. So if they was doing that with your property, I should imagine with stolen property, they would do the same. And no doubt, you know that secret building by the River Thames where they incinerate all the drugs, that big secret white building they've got right by the river. And I've been a guest in there too, as a journalist. I was one of the first invited out when you started Operation Bumblebee in London. I had to hide all the beer cans. They used my car, the police, so I went mad. And they said, we'll get in the car with you. Well, we've been using my car for a stakeout for about a week. There was beer bottles and all sorts in the back. So I didn't want them seeing that. And it was just incredible that, you know, how the police let slip on what they do, what they really do. And I'm not saying that's all police officers, but there are, it's not the minority like you keep hearing. All I hear is this one rotten apple. I don't think it is. There are hundreds and hundreds of police officers that just break the law. In fact, in Bedfordshire, where I live, not so long ago, I've seen an officer breathalyze himself, come back in the pub, have a pint, and make a phone call, and a blue flashing light picked him up. They're using the police cars as minicabs from the pub.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah, that I can well believe. Yeah. That I can well believe.
Yeah, but then again, they left me alone. I've never had a problem with Bedfordshire police. They leave me alone, I leave them alone. But I do drink in pubs. I'm very civil with them. If I see them, I say hello, they say hello. When I leave, I say goodbye. But yeah, I know several officers till today that go to the pub every single day, and every single day they drive home.
Yeah.
Shocking. Right, what we're going to do is, George and Michael, we're going to play a song by, have you heard of Allegedly, Reese, George?
No, I thought you were going to say we're going to play a song by the police.
Yeah, it's a song about the police. It's a guy called Allegedly Reese. He's done a couple of songs about like sheeple. He's done it about the most famous one I know of is the Beat the Bailiffs and the Bank song, where he sings down the phone to a bailiff company called Rosendale's. And that's where it all started off. But he's talking about the police in this one. It's called Checkerboard Bobs, and he's put by Allegedly Reese and the corporate whores on it.
Very good. I'll go and get a beer while that's playing.
Nah, Sunday you're allowed. Alright, well we'll be back anyway after this song so we can continue with some more articles and discussions. So stay tuned, guys. Oh, okay, it's not wanting to work. Oh, I'll try another way. I know it's not my staffies, Michael. They're safely tucked out of the way. What the hell? I think GCHQ are having fun with my laptop. Oh, here we go. Yep, GCHQ are having fun with my laptop. GCHQ, if you are listening or playing silly buggers with my laptop, pack it in.
Yes, you never know. You might enjoy this tune.
Yeah, you might have a laugh. Have a sense of humour, you sad fucks.
Yeah, you know that fox looks like he's got the same eyebrows as I've got.
We'll try it another way. We'll do it direct from social media. That seems to be the only way that these funny buggers might not be able to let us. I can't believe it. Wounded. I even tested it before we went out on air, didn't I? There we go.
Controlling the world. When I come last, but the banks come first. Where are the good cops? Wisconsin costumes, no soul in their eyes. From the common purpose crew, are you working for the people of the HM revenue? Trained to follow orders, licensed to kill and rob. They've got a self-serving disorder called just doing my job. Thinking up your arsehole doesn't need another swab. When you've got no attention, NLP won't work. What you gotta do when you can't stand around and smirk? Last, and the coops come first. You remember the nation that went
By Allegedly Reese. It was only released yesterday. It's quite a good. I think it's quite a good tune. Actually, it's quite catchy.
I'm sure it'll go down well at the police station.
Yeah, as much as it'll probably go down well when I have PC Trotter splurged all over my bumper of my car. I've just found an article before we came on air about the Met Police. They're going to be facing a racism probe after secret online Facebook page filled with abusive comments discovered. This has come from The Independent. Britain's largest police force has launched an investigation into allegations that its officers used a secret Facebook group to air racist views about ethnic minorities.
I read about it last night, and the comments on it, it just goes to, I mean, it's no worse. If you look on police blogs, got their own blogs, and if you read them, they use terms like, I arrested this piece of scum last night, and you know, I'm thinking, well, hold on, the person may have been charged, they've not even been found guilty. This is how they speak about them.
No, there's our police, my local police and crime commissioner, actually discussing a case, and distributing the information. He's actually up for misconduct in public office.
Well, we've just paid £300,000 out. Bedfordshire Police have discriminating against a black officer, and no doubt that's only one we've heard about. I don't doubt there's others that we don't know about.
There's a bit of legislation that would probably go. I've used it against councils, and I'm using it against the police force at the minute. I'm just trying to find it now. It's called Section 149 of the Equality Act 2010. I don't know whether you've heard of that yourself, but
I've heard the Equality Act. I wasn't sure the year of it, but I have heard of it.
I'm going to screen share it so you guys can see it, and obviously our viewers can see it that are watching it at the minute. Equality Act 2010, Section 149. It's a public sector equality duty, and it basically says a public authority must, in the exercise of its functions, have due regard to the need to eliminate discrimination, harassment, victimisation, and any other contact that is prohibited by and under this Act. And it does go on, it just basically says, it keeps going on, but it gives you the groups of people in subsection 7 that are classed as protected characteristics, but it's not just that, it's people that don't have protected characteristics as well. And the ones there like age, disability, gender reassignment, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, whether you're male or female, or sexual orientation. And that within itself is quite a powerful bit of legislation there, because I've used it. They tried to, a council actually said, going a little bit off track, a council actually said to somebody, you can't have a tenancy, you can't keep a tenancy going, we may have to evict you because you're dyslexic and you can't manage a tenancy.
I've never heard of something so ridiculous. Even if you are dyslexic, why would that stop you from managing a tenancy?
No, I don't know it either. I don't know it. When I showed them that, they actually capped their pants.
Yeah, because, like I say, you know, the tenancy would have nothing. I mean, what if you're blind? Are you saying we shouldn't house someone because they're blind? Because they can't read their tenancy, can they?
No, this is what I put across. I was like, what if they were blind or they were deaf even?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. So Section 149 should be well and truly thrown at the Met. There's another one I found here. I think this was on the group that you run, George. Police officers investigated after arrested man's finger is severed.
Yes, I had that as well. Yeah, not the first time this has happened either. There was someone got 3 fingers not long ago. You know, as I say, all these things that happen in police custody or the police van, it seems funny. It's never the police officer that it happens to. You know, I mean, you'd have to be pretty unlucky if you was running a company and you had this amount of accidents at work. The health and safety executive would close you down.
Treatment of the digit was unable to be reattached. I'm just reading it. Like in a statement, the IPCC said the IPCC investigation is looking into the circumstances surrounding police contact with the man, including his arrest and the appropriateness of force used. So what are they? I mean, to sever someone's finger, it's like it's just barbaric.
I'm wondering if they slammed the door and the guy's hand, his finger happened to be in the way.
That's what I thought actually.
Yeah, so they weren't too careful, kind of slamming the door of the containment cell at the back. I mean, there was one case where the chap was too tall to go in. And they broke his leg trying to cram him.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that very well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The minute you're arrested, the police have got a duty of care.
That's right.
Regardless of your injuries, no matter what you're doing, the second you're arrested or detained, they're responsible for you. They're
That's
responsible
right.
for everything. You know, they're responsible for your health. That's why when they take you to the station, they ask you, have you taken anything? Have you taken any medication? Because if you have, they will make sure that they should make sure that you are cared for in the right way. But they don't. They couldn't care less, really.
Yeah, I mean that's quite obvious from some of these police programs you have on PIC TV, like Night Cops and things like that. They just don't seem to give a monkeys.
Well, I think a lot of these police programs, they shouldn't be allowed. What they're doing, they're trying to make celebrities out of basically working coppers. And as one of them knows too well, the was only just found himself, or he's been found not guilty, but he was up for misconduct himself. Then we're not told how much the police are getting for these shows. Now, the police officers don't get paid, but the police force does. Like Bedfordshire Police, when they made 24 Hours in Custody, I've done a lot of showbiz launches, and the TV company will pay that force to get permission to follow them around. So I'd like to know how much they get from TV and radio work and where the money goes. Does it go to the government or back to the constabulary?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going into the force. I mean, they've got to have duty to tell us what's happening to the money, whether they're using it to sort of fund policing or where it's going.
It doesn't tell you nothing. If you look into the financial statements of the police, there is nothing about that. Yet they do tell you how much they spend on PR work to promote their force, to say how marvellous it is.
No, yeah, kind of. Oh, aren't we wonderful? Yeah.
I think a lot of these police forces, I mean, if somebody's actually asking a couple of things via social media,
I mean, there was one program on Night Cops. I think part of it was from Devon in Cornwall, and there's one Devon in Cornwall copper. Somebody he'd had a little bit too much to drink, and he called this copper a fucking prick. And the copper says, "You called me a fucking prick." What he didn't sort of realise is he was behaving like a fucking prick. Yeah, so I mean, he was said FP. Yeah. But I think he didn't give a very good impression of the Devon Cornwall police, unfortunately.
yeah, what was it? They threatened them with tasers, didn't they, as well?
Oh, there was one. Yeah, there was a guy. He'd had a little bit too much to drink. I mean, he was going out, and this copper just says, "Oh, if you don't bloody stop, I'll bloody taser you." I'm thinking, what? You don't bloody threaten to taser something just because they won't shut up, or they told you to bugger off.
They just paid out £100,000 each for two people who were tasered outside a nightclub in Cornwall and Devon. Only last week, I think that was they were paid out. So it goes to show how the use of taser. I mean, if you ask any police officer about pepper spray, half of them, they spray themselves by accident. I mean, they use it in confined areas like cell areas. They end up spraying everyone. So, and they do the same with tasers. Tasers are not that accurate on a moving target. Now, when you look at the Dale Farm eviction with all the travellers, they were just firing tasers into the crowd, hoping it would hit someone.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's dangerous.
Of course it is, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a case down here about a mile and a half from where I live, as the crow flies. A guy had dosed himself in lighter fuel. So you can imagine how volatile that is. And the copper, he pulled out his taser, fired the taser, and he was kind of when the guy went up in flames. The guy was taken to hospital with third-degree burns. Very sadly, died a few hours later. There was an inquest and a formal investigation, and the copper was cleared of any wrongdoing. No, that is not right. Why was that police officer ever bloody allowed to carry a taser? What made him pull that ready trigger and fire a taser when he knew the guy had just dosed himself in a flammable liquid? It beggars belief.
No, I do remember that was also in the papers, that case. And I mean, common sense will tell you. I'd have thought I don't need any taser training to tell me that it creates a spark, and maybe you wouldn't use it in a petrol station. You certainly wouldn't use it on someone covered in petrol.
That's the thing. I mean, aren't they meant to be under some kind of Fireman Act or Firearms Act?
Yeah, there's Section 5 firearms, and firearm is also pepper spray. Now, I made my own pepper spray and put it in a Windoline bottle. And the police officer was in my house, and I told him when I was in a bit of aggravation that if anyone starts sticking their nose through my letterbox, I was going to spray them. He informed me that it was a firearm, so I told him he should go to the nearest pound stretcher shop, as they've got thousands of these on sale. And he didn't like that remark. He said, but it's the stuff you've made, which contains a lot of cayenne pepper. And I said to him, well, I use it for killing beetles in the garden. How does that sound? He said, Rex, but you can have it for that.
Now, funnily enough, I asked Devon Corps Police, I said, if someone breaks into your home, can you throw pepper in the face of that person to sort of disorientate them? And they said, yes. They said the best stuff, Ian said, the best stuff to use is actually chili pepper or cayenne pepper.
Yeah.
They said, because it doesn't cause any lasting harm, it's okay. I mean, if you've got a baseball bat and beat the sandbells the crap out of them, yeah, then they would have something to say. But they said, no, they said because it's cayenne pepper, and this police officer alluded to me, they said, what we use is cayenne pepper, but it's a much more concentrated form of it. And that's what it's the capsicum or capsicum within the chili pepper itself that actually is what they use. But no, they said it was perfectly legal to throw pepper in someone's face.
It's not the pepper, it's the way it's dispensed that makes it. It's the way it's fired out. But having said it does no lasting damage, I do know that white pepper, if you throw that in someone's face, it can actually scar the eyeball.
Yeah.
You know, I know a chef that it happened to by mistake. So I don't think either of them is safe. But I do see the use of pepper spray. They should only be used in life-threatening situations. Just because someone punches you on the nose doesn't mean automatically we should shoot them with a taser, then stick a bit of gas in their face. But the police, when they join, I'd imagine there's a good chance of if you're a police officer, there's a very good chance you're going to get hit by people, just like traffic wardens do. So, I can't see the use being justified. Most of the time, it's like a matter of course. Someone starts shouting and screaming and stick pepper spray in their face.
Yeah. I know when they had CS gas, which they shouldn't have had anyway, one copper inhaled a lungful of it, and that was it. He was out the job. He did permanent damage.
Yes.
And I believe they shouldn't have had the CS gas in the first place.
Well, and it's very strange. The water cannon that Boris Johnson bought two of, he's not allowed to use them now.
The thing is, the water cannons are very easily disabled. All you've got to do is just cover the. I was watching. I think it was one in one of the European countries. The windscreen and the windows were absolutely coated in paint.
Yeah, then they can't use the water cannon because they can't see where they're firing it.
Exactly, and they can't even see where they're driving. So it just shows how vulnerable it is.
No, I don't think. Well, I mean, I suppose if you get all that pepper spray in your eyes, the water cannon, you'd be begging for it. But I just think we've gone too far with giving them all these weapons to use. Yeah, I mean, like I say, if you look in, well, you probably have it. If you look in an armed response vehicle and you see the amount of firearms they carry, you would people think they're just, a gun in there. It's like a safe, and as you probably know, it goes right the way through to the back armrest of the car.
That's right.
Inside these, they've got shotguns, they've got stuff now for knocking out tyres off the cars, It's just like in the American films, but we have got all this equipment. And when the police do what they call a hard stop, where they stop a vehicle by shooting out its tyres, but what country are we in here? I mean, no wonder so many villains are getting tooled up. I don't blame them. Because if the police come at them with guns, that's what they're going to fire back at you. You can only expect it. People will fight fire with fire, and that's what these criminals will do.
Yeah, like with like, yeah. That makes absolute sense, George.
Yeah, and like I said, if you've got, I don't know, even if you've got people running across the pavement, robbing a bank with firearms, I can understand the use of firearms in that situation. They're not just come and crash straight through your door, and everyone's got guns, and when they do that, because I've had experience of it, they come through your front door, They've all got guns with lights, big powerful lights on the front, and you can't see a thing. Now, when they did that to me in the late 70s, they told me, get out of bed and don't move. I said, don't be so bloody stupid. The officer in charge of it was more frightened than I was. I had all the guns pointed at me. He's telling me to get out of bed and don't move.
That seems a bit contradictory to me.
Because that's what I said to her. I said, make your bloody mind up. You either want me to get out of bed or you don't. He said, just keep your hands where I can see them then. I said, well, then I can't move out of bed, can I? Yeah, that's how they come through my house. And remember, this was because of 2 or 3 post office raids that had been done. All when they were closed, there was no firearms, there was no force, no staff in these premises. But they obviously found out I was involved, which I admitted I was. I went to prison for that. But there was no need for them to come through the front door like they did. And all of they come through so fast. In fact, they got wedged in the corridor. It was like a comedy show. I couldn't move with police officers. There were so many. Now, if that was me, what I would have done, I'd have said, right, we want that person. Don't go near his house. We'll wait for him to warn me on the street. You can just jump out, all in plain clothes, and grab me, rather than give me the chance at home to grab a gun and shoot.
I think with these forces, and the word force is such a big word, isn't it? Like police force.
Well, they changed it. It was a PR exercise. They changed the word from police force to police service. But if you contact the police service and ask for force control, they'll put you through to the force control room. It's very much a force.
Here's something that I find quite alarming with my local police force. I actually when I ring them, they say, I want to go through to PSD. They will not, they adamantly do not put you through to them. And I've always wondered what the reasoning was for that.
Well, probably you're better off than just pestering your chief constable. Email your chief constable. Your chief constable won't deal with it. They'll bang it over to the district commander. They'll get someone to contact you. That's how I've found it works. I mean,
here's something that'll make you laugh. My local police force will not even give us the email address for the chief constable.
Well, you can get that off the internet. I forget the name of the site, but it's very easy to get. I've got the email address for every single chief constable. My own one was stupid enough to give me her mobile phone number, telling me she works 24/7. So I thought nothing of phoning her at 2 in the morning to report the way a police car was parked on a double yellow line. And she said, "Do you know what time it is?" I said, "Well, you told me you work 24/7. Make your mind up."
I bet she was well chuffed.
And I've got the email, which I could post on Facebook here, where the officer was not only dealt with, I insisted on a parking ticket being issued, and he got one, and then I insisted that he paid it and not the police force.
And he did.
He did, where he had to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're not above the law.
No, that's what I said. That's exactly what they said. But I said he was in a cab. That's where he was. I said, I can even tell you what he had to eat, because a friend of mine owns the cab. So I said, they should never have parked. It was 2 or 3 foot out of the curb on a double yellow. And I was annoyed because I just put a complaint out of them anyway. So I thought, well, they started on me. I'll give them a bit back. And she assured me, because she's obviously saying, look, this bloke's phoning me up at 2 o'clock in the morning about your party. And he's contacting me every day to find out what's happening. Because I wanted to know. I wanted the parking ticket number. I wanted proof. I said to her I would take her at her word if she'd give it to me in writing, that he had paid it and not the police federation paid it on his behalf or the police service. I wanted that money taken from him, and it was. And he was given words about his parking.
So it does prove if you make enough fuss, it will get done.
Yes, you've got to go. You've got to hit the top lines. Go. If they start messing you about, just pester your chief constable, and the chief constable will tell her staff, listen, stop this person from emailing me, deal with it, and they will deal with it. So if you go through the proper channels, they won't.
Here's the funny thing, though. I've actually asked for the chief constable's email address because I want to ask about Section 26, whether how many people have actually been trained in it. And I did a bit of a special on it, a little while ago. I'll try and pull up the email. I did a freedom of information request to my local police, and I asked how many officers were actually trained in this Section 26. And what I got back from the Northamptonshire Police freedom of information thing, hang on, I'll try and find the exact words. It was so, me and Michael were howling because we thought this was absolutely, it was just completely mad, wasn't it, Michael?
I think they said they didn't know anything about it or something like that.
Here we go. There is no specific training with regard to Section 26 Criminal Justice and Courts Act 2015. However, corrupt or other improper exercise of police powers and privileges would be adequately covered in the 2-year student probationary period and is supported by the standards of professional behaviour for police officers.
Yeah, so it's very complacent, don't they?
Well, mind you, if they set them on training every time new legislation came in, I should imagine they'd be on training every day because there's new laws, acts and statutes coming in every day. You know, there's different stuff. I just think that is one that they should be aware of.
They should be, George. I mean, you have to undergo what they call field training every 3 years because your first aid certificate expires, so you've got to renew that every 3 years. And I can remember when I was in the job, every 3 years you had to do this field training, to update your first aid certificate, and also to bring yourself up to date with any new legislation that had come in. But if it was important legislation, then we'd normally get a circular come round.
Yeah. Well, what rank were you yourself?
I was a PC.
PC. So did you ever go for your sergeant's exam?
I did.
Did you ever cheat? Because most of them do, as you know. I can go to the blog site now, and they all ask each other, what questions would you ask them? How did you go about this, and how did you go about that?
Yeah, the thing is when you've got your chief super and your chief inspector kind of as invigilators. Yeah, the force I was with in the latter part of my career, George. When we took the sergeant's exam, we had the chief superintendent, the chief inspector as the vigilators, so we couldn't really get away with it.
Right. Let's see. How they ask each other, you know, like they ask each other, and they never give their real names. It's always like, I'm going in for this, and do you think it will help? Because more, they're taking a law degree. And I don't know why they're doing that if they think it's going to further their career, because the only good lawyer is one that actually practices in court, not one that's got the degree. So, yeah, I don't know why they seem to do that, but more and more are taking law degrees now, especially sergeants and inspectors.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you see some of the things the sergeants and inspectors have to do, but then again it varies. I mean, the Home Office forces compared to forces like the Ministry of Defence Police and the British Transport Police. I mean, the BTP and the MDP, they've got a complete. I mean, certain bits are similar, but there are other bits that are totally unique to those two forces.
Yeah, see, someone's just put in here in, inboxed me on Facebook and actually said they believe that the police behaviour is actually shown in a way that's they're normalising police behaviour to make it more acceptable to us. The usual grooming behaviour by the media. So what the media are doing is saying like. Oh yeah, well this person's been arrested brutally, that's what you get for being a criminal. Now
that's conditioning.
Yeah, it is, and the media are doing it to us. The ones that aren't able to see it. I mean, I remember a relative of mine saying, oh yeah, on Cops they did this and they had 6 people sitting on him and had knees in their back. I said, that's illegal, and they said, well, why are they putting it on? I'm like, to brainwash her.
Well, I mean, I saw a report in a bundle that somebody had been kneed in the chest by a police officer in trying to allegedly restrain him when he wasn't actually struggling. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell trained that police officer in restraint? because that sort of thing is very, very dangerous, because you can snap somebody's sternum or snap somebody's ribs doing something like that. I mean, you see four of them all sort of kind of flattening a guy, and then there's four of them standing around. I mean, it does make you beg the question, why are they standing around? Is there something they don't want people to see, or what?
And they circle them. I've noticed that they circle people.
Oh, well, four of them wind him up. As soon as he kicks off, oh, nick him. Yeah. It's this target-driven policing. That is part of the problem.
I'd agree with that, yeah. It's target-driven. They've all got they've not got no target numbers as such. What happens is if you're going, especially if you're looking to get promoted in the job, obviously, who are they going to look at? With a lot of convictions, or one with not so many? And if you're going for, say, going into burglary, whatever department you want, if you get a certain amount of arrests, people pick for a job. They say, look at his success rate. The police have got an incentive to do well.
That's the thing. It's just like the way that I mean, it shocks me when they've arrested Tom Crawford, but it hasn't surprised me the way they've gone about things since, like certain events, i.e. Tom Crawford's eviction, for example. They knew that 700 people were going to turn up at his house. If they had noticed and they abused the legal process, obviously that goes with the civil kind of stuff.
Yeah, but in the Tom Crawford case, the police had an operation going for 2 weeks. Now, I don't doubt for a minute that the High Court enforcement officers would have been privy to that meeting. They knew Tom Crawford was away from home. There was only his wife, I think, at the address at the time. Why are the police? I can understand the police going after the protesters, but they weren't protesting. They were standing in the street. Now, they had every right to stand in that street. The police blocked it off to assist the bailiffs before any breach of the peace happened. So, why, they're telling us that we can't get a police officer to our homes if we have a burglary, yet they had plenty for Tom Crawford. And I just think it was the most heavy-handed eviction I've ever seen, that one. It was basically for pensioners, to get pensioners out, that was.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's like, and the way they grabbed Sue, that's what got me. That got me really angry. They just like actually manhandled her off the. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. I did post them up. Someone went there to take some photos of the house after Tom had left, and had been bitten by a security guard's dog.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, well, that person.
Dogs by
But as far as I know, that person had to have surgery, and there's a possibility of skin graft. Now, they're trying to say that the Dangerous Dogs Act doesn't come into it because it's a commercial premises. It is not a commercial premises at all. It is a dwelling, a house dwelling. If it's a business premises, you pay business rates on it. It cannot be a commercial.
Where's the council tax for business rates then? That's what I'd be saying.
That's exactly what I said. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to do with it with Tom Crawford's case come out. I don't know who's right and wrong. I don't know if he owed the money or he didn't know. That he's human.
I think George's having a bit of technical.
They've actually found the enforcement officer that attended Tom Crawford, who refused to identify himself, has now been identified. His name is all over the internet. I'm sure there'll be more to come. But as I say, I don't know who's right or wrong in the case, but I do know that there's many laws that have been broken concerning that eviction, regardless of who's right.
Yeah, because security dogs come in, as far as I know, they come under the Guard Dogs Act.
That's correct.
And they are strict. There was one firm in Plymouth. They thought they could just walk along the street with a dog, and they were told very, very quickly by the police who saw them, "Oh, what do you think you're doing? Walk along the street with that thing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just going to." No, you're not. Put him in a van and take him there.
Well, that's what I mean.
So we've got to. So what makes you think you can ignore it?
I mean, they do come under the guard dog act, but at the same time, okay, the dog should never have been let off the lead to bite. The person was taking pictures of the house. That's all they were doing. And he immediately let the dog off the lead and encouraged the dog to bite. Now, as far as I know, it was a foreign person, and we think it's a Polish person. But nevertheless, that dog has inflicted serious injuries on someone.
See, the thing is, under the my husband's dad was in the army and was actually a dog handler, and even when he saw the pictures, he went, Stacey, not like Dan's father, not Dan's dad, but my husband. He sat there and he went, "That's not a guard dog bite. That is a dog bite." It's like this. He believes that dog may not have even been trained as a guard dog because of the way the guy's hands and arms were all basically messed up.
I'm wondering if that dog, a so-called dog handler in inverted commas, who encouraged that dog to bite, I mean, strictly speaking, that guy should be done for unlawful wounding.
It's not either. I've got 3 staffies myself, and if any one of my dogs even done so little as, well, put it this way, I had at the time I had 2. I was arrested, and the police officers broke into my house basically, and grabbed me, and the female out of the pack went up to them and licked them, and the police officer booted her right across the hallway. Actually booted her, and she yelped and she went arr, as if to say back off away from my master, and they said we can get the dog put down for that.
No, they can't.
I was like, well, you booted her, and I've got that on CCTV, so said I had cameras in the house. They soon backed off with the destruction, with when they said they're going to get a destruction order on the dog, all because she went at him.
As far as I know, they can't get a destruction order unless the dog is genuinely dangerous.
Well, they did take, just recently, I think last week or the week before, they took a woman's dog from her. A police officer was running down an alleyway and a dog bit her, and the magistrate agreed that the dog was right to bite, as they said that's what dogs do. You were running down an alleyway towards the owner, and that dog was protecting the owner, and there was no destruction order made. In fact, the woman said she was delighted to be getting her dog back. But they did try it. They did try it to have the dog destroyed.
I think that was a bailiff, but the police were with him, or something like that.
No, this was a police officer. He'd been given details of a stabbing taking place somewhere, and decided to run down an alleyway to look for the stabber, but got bit, which I thought was very funny. But apparently there was no stabbing, and the magistrate refused to have the dog destroyed.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of magistrates now, particularly down in my part of the country, they're not so sort of ready to rubber stamp what the police say. They're more ready to question and challenge what they're saying.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, there was only recently a friend of mine on Facebook was in court and asked for an adjournment, and he said, no, I'm ready to go ahead today. And the district judge agreed and said, if it was the defendant who failed to come here today, you would be asking for a warrant for his arrest. Because the officer's ill doesn't mean they cannot come to court. Can you show me a certificate now? They said no. The judge said the case dismissed. He dismissed the case.
Now, there was a case in Sussex in 2011. 2 stiff-gated bailiffs broke into somebody's house. They had no right to do so. And the householder, they assaulted the householder, and the householder went to push them out. So they cooked up a fairy story to cover their backsides that the householder had assaulted them. Sussex police, like idiots, decided to interview them under the householder under caution, and the CPS went ahead with a prosecution for assaulting the bailiffs, and they were convicted. So they appealed, and the appeal was heard by one of the most senior criminal circuit judges on the Southeastern Circuit. And he asked Charles Brown, I think, and he asked the CPS and Sussex Police, what were your grounds for A, charging this person, and B, prosecuting them? After faffing about for 2 weeks, they finally admitted none. And not surprisingly, Brown went loopy, threw the case out. The two bailiffs had their certificates taken away from them. They're not allowed to work as bailiffs again. And Sussex Police and the CPS were left looking very silly.
I tell you, some of these police forces, I say forces, they're more farces. They talk out of a colonic orifice, anyway.
Oh, you mean the colonic cacophony?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say, Stacey, and where police have assisted bailiffs to evict people, there's been one up in the Yorkshire area where it went badly wrong, and the police, I'll give them their credit where it's due. They have acknowledged, yes, we stop, and they are doing what they can to try and put matters right. So, so there are some decent coppers. They fucked up, and they admit it. They put their hands up. These guys put their hands up straight away. They said, yeah, okay. Once it was pointed out to them, they said, yeah, okay, we have fucked up. We need to put this right. And yeah, all due credit to them. At least they have had the decency to admit it. At least they're trying to put matters right. But it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
It shouldn't have happened. I mean, so in wrap up, guys, how do you guys deal with the police? Like, what would you advise our general viewers? Obviously not GCHQ. If they are listening, take your face for a shite. That's my famous saying for GCHQ. Have you guys got any advice to anybody that's sort of listening? How would you feel you would deal with the police? I mean, obviously, we've got our own little tact, so obviously sharing's caring and all that.
Well, I would say that if they've committed a criminal offence against you, do not bother putting in a complaint. Report it as a crime. If they don't take it down as a crime, you walk away without a crime number, head straight for your magistrate's court, take out a private prosecution. It doesn't cost you a penny. And you will get your complaint dealt with far quicker in the magistrate's court than you will with the professional standards department that is not fit for purpose by the admission of the police. They agree. It doesn't do its job.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a cocky inspector say to me a couple of times, why don't you go to the IPCC? Why don't you go to the IPCC? And it's like, well, because they're a load of shite.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
guys.
The IPCC are proving themselves to be not fit for purpose.
Independent plonkers. I'm trying to think of the acronym for it. Independent plonkers.
Well, I mean,
I can't think of
names for them, but it does stand the letters IPCC.
Independent Plonkers Convention Club.
Well, it's a cover-up club, basically.
Yeah, I think it is, because the IPCC do actually cover a lot of things up, as well as the police forces. They've been known to collaborate and make up a load of twaddle and all this kind of stuff. But if you had a police officer stop you in a car, for instance, what would be your advice to anyone that's listening? Obviously not GCHQ, not to GCHQ. They can't use it. They're barred.
Well, if you're stopped in a car, they've got to have reasonable cause to stop you. They can't just stop you just for the sheer hell of it. I mean, potentially that could be wrongful, unlawful or even wrongful detention. And it's just happening far too often. They just stop you they seem to stop you just for the sheer hell of it. Just to sort of justify their existence. It's not on.
Well, here's how I go about it. I'll pull over politely in a safe spot. I'll sit there. I'm on a provisional, guys. I'll admit it. My husband actually sits in the car with me. I've got my L plates. Everything's legal. And I say to them, I'll roll my window down literally about an inch so I can hear them and they can hear me. So they can't put their hands. I lock my car doors, and I'll say to them, I'll get my husband to film. And I say, am I being detained, officer? And they say, well, no, we just want to talk to you. I'm like, what, about the weather? What do you want to speak to me about? And they'll say, I want to talk to you about your driving. I'll say, right, am I being detained? And I might have to repeat myself about 20 million times. But I say, if they don't answer the question, I'll just say, listen, if I'm not being detained, then I'm leaving. And they say, no, you can't do that. And I say, watch me. And I'm like, right, out the way of my car. And they try and open my car door sometimes. And I'm like, no, the doors are locked. You're not getting in. It's as simple as that. Unless you've got a lawful reason to stop me, I'm leaving. And they say, oh, well, we need to talk to you about your driving. Well, there's nothing wrong with my driving. See you later. And I drive off myself. But that's what I do. I would personally recommend asking if you're being detained, because that's obviously you're putting the ball in their court to prove what they're actually stopping you for, if that makes sense.
I had one police officer say the other day, we don't have to prove you're guilty. You have to prove you're innocent. I said, really? They haven't changed the law yet.
Yeah, exactly. They just seem to think that they can do what they want and they can say what they want. And this is what shocks me, is that when they say, oh yeah, we'll arrest you if you don't get out the car. There was one incident, it's been all over Facebook and Twitter and everything else, of a man who didn't have his driver's license with him. He didn't have any ID to prove who he was, so they smashed the window and dragged him out. Don't know whether.
Totally unlawful.
And and they arrested him as well because he didn't have ID. He told them who he was.
Oh, was it the coloured chap with the copper with the ginger hair?
Yeah, there was a copper. No, it was a copper with dark hair, and there was a baldy. There was a baldy guy with them as well.
Yeah, there was a case on. Yeah, there was a case on YouTube with the chap was from the West Indian community. There was a Metropolitan Police officer with ginger hair and a woman inspector who I have to say was next to useless. And just because he didn't have his driving license, we can arrest you, and they just dragged him out of his car. Well, he went on to one of the help forums, and I had to pick up his case, and I said, right, what actually happened? And he told me. I said, well, for a start, I said, there's if you haven't got your driving license, I said, there is provision under the Road Traffic Act that you are given a form called an HORT1, which gives you 7 days from the date of its issue to take it to a nominated police station and produce your insurance there. So what the hell do they think apply it? And it went to the Max PSD.
Here's another thing, Michael. Someone's just said that they actually pepper sprayed the guy too. I
would say there was a disproportionate response, and I would also say that could well be amount to assault or even battery.
Yeah.
Because just pepper spraying somebody just because they've got their driving license. That's disproportionate and potential.
Well, who carries that? It's got confidential information.
It's illegal.
It's got confidential information on, like, your address. So why would you carry that with you?
Some people do, some people don't. But nothing in law says nothing in law that says you have to carry that with you at all times. Some people choose not to because and in case they get carjacked or in case they lose it. They lose the document. That's why they've got the 7-day rule incorporated into the Road Traffic Act.
Yeah, so people could have a reasonable kind of adjustment, as it were.
Well, it's not so much that. It's written into the Road Traffic Act to say that if you are unable to produce your documents as requested by a police officer at the time you're stopped, they give you you've got 7 days from the date of that stop in which to produce your documents at a nominated police station. If you don't, you commit an offence. Yeah,
I think it's shocking, really. We've got a last article to put up before we wrap up till whenever, because we're working on different cases, aren't we, Michael? Seems to be there's a lot of links with councils at the moment. I think that's going to be another episode for Unity Peace Patrol News. We've got this has come from the Broken Biscuit Company, as my husband calls it, otherwise known as the BBC. Sir Peter Fahy, Greater Manchester Police's Chief Constable to retire. And it goes on, it keeps going through here, and it's saying the 56-year-old was counter-terrorism lead for the Association of Chief Police Officers and continues in a similar role for its successor body, the National Police Chiefs Council. And he's actually he's going to be resigning in autumn. and it keeps going on, and it actually says that he, somewhere along here, it actually says that he's going to be taking over. This is another article that says he's going to be taking over as the chief executive working with children.
Retry.
That's it. That's the one. I couldn't quite remember, and it wasn't in that article while I was skim reading it there.
Taking into account that GMP are under investigation for corruption.
Under investigation, it's blatantly obvious. It's all over YouTube. Just all they have to do is look there.
I mean, there was a case, contacted me via one of the Facebook help groups. Somebody from the GMP's Operation Wolverine had seized his off-road bike. I mean, it was just standing in his front garden. He just had taken delivery of it, and he found out it was actually his next-door neighbour, who was a known troublemaker, had rang the police and said, "Oh, you're riding up and down." Well, he rang the PSD. The PSD said, "Right, okay, yeah, we accept. That shouldn't have happened." On a Saturday, he gets this phone call from an inspector claiming to be from PSD. So this guy rings me. He says, "Do they work on a Saturday?" I went, "No." I said, "You need to speak to them on Monday morning." He did. "No, we don't have any inspector by that name." And then this sergeant rings up. I heard the conversation recorded. This sergeant from Operation Wolverine sounded like he was either on something or he was mentally deranged. I mean, the crap he was coming out with was unbelievable. One thing he said was, "Oh, yeah, well, you go to the Human Rights Court in Strasbourg, they back us." So I'm thinking, not what you did, they won't. I mean, some of them have got, I don't know why he was like that, but some have got so complacent, so sort of blasé, it's unbelievable.
And this is the thing. I think the thing is, if you are stopped in the street or anywhere else, I'd suggest. I mean, this is just a suggestion of mine. Just ask very politely, "Officer, am I being detained?" But always film them. Because if you've got a camera sitting there and they know they're being filmed, they'll know that everything they do, everything they say will be on tape. And possibly distributed around YouTube. So has anyone else got anything to add before we wrap up for the evening?
No, we've said all we've got to say.
Yes, even I have, and I could talk the hind legs off a donkey.
GCHQ, if you're listening, thanks for listening, and anyone in Northamptonshire Police that have listened tonight, hi! And you'll see my nice little surprise for you on the back of my car very soon. And just to let you guys know, if anything does happen to my car or anything, I'm not just some mentalist likes to bash around my car. That's Northants Police themselves. There's a bunch of idiots like that. So anyway, guys, this is Stacey McClellan at Unipeace Patrol News. It's Mike, the word tumbler, or the human library. And we've got George Vella of Police Corruption and Wrongdoing. All the best of luck for tomorrow, George.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck, mate.
No worries. Right. See you guys.
See you. Bye.
Bye.